Real American can look at what is happening in Minnesota and like it. Now, I was hoping that leaders would de-escalate, but now I'm not so sure that the desire isn't more violence. What is the goal? And when I ask that question, yeah, I put the onus on the government. The government leads. What is the goal? Is the goal to enforce the law or to force more outrage and conflict? Now, I wish this were a rhetorical question. I wish it were obvious. The government is doing the right thing. And some things have just gone wrong. And some of that is their fault, and some of that is fault of the reaction. But we are where we are, and let's see how we do better. But that's not what this is. And all the proof that's coming out makes me, and I think most of us, more worried. Now, let's remember where we are. A majority of Americans are in favor of removing people who are violent criminals from this country if they're not here legally, period. The complaint in Minneapolis and in every poll I've seen is how the administration is choosing to do this. The majority is not against the what, it's against the who and the how, okay? If this is just about getting bad hombres, as our president calls them, would you reward agents for making bad arrests of the wrong people? A new report says that's what ICE does. All that matters is the head count of arresting, even if they're later released as bad arrests. Now, some of the ICE raids would be more defensible if they could demonstrate that overwhelmingly the who's being targeted? Serious criminals, not here legally. But they can't show that in the data, which is why they are cagey about putting out data selectively. And if that were the case, we wouldn't keep seeing all of these terrible stories of them getting the wrong people and treating people the wrong way, and we're only looking at one city. They're grabbing citizens. They're grabbing people they later have to release after assaulting them. They just used a kid as bait, reportedly. The family's attorney and school officials say ICE used a 5-year-old boy to knock on the door of his own home to lure out other family members. Now, you can say fake news. And even if it did happen, it didn't happen that way. And even if it did happen that way, it's just one kid. That's the case the vice president made.
And I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy, and I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. When they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and that never happens, and law enforcement deals with people who are guilty of crimes who have kids all the time, and they don't do it this way. In fact, it's flimsy what he's saying for an Ivy League educated lawyer, but that's because he knows it's a bad argument. But then again, this is also the guy who argued that the ICE officer did nothing wrong when he shot and killed Renee Good for bumping into him with a car. And this kid is no one-off. We have several documented cases of ICE agents doing what I've never heard of law enforcement doing before. And I challenge you, I challenge Mr. Vance, find me cases where police have used kids to make arrests using them as bait. And no, they weren't looking for some serial killer. This kid's father wasn't a bad hombre, he's just not here legally. And that's been the case in all the cases I've seen. Then we get another piece. A report comes out with a whistleblower who says new ICE agents are trained to get around constitutional protections of wrongful search and seizure. Basically, to treat these people differently than protections afforded to regular people. What's the pushback to that argument? Well, the whistleblower, he's a rat, he's disgruntled, he's just some partisan. Then why did lawyers for Homeland Security tell ICE in a memo that they don't need a warrant to go into a private dwelling if somebody has a final order for removal? They only need an administrative warrant. Now, the agency has long held you need probable cause to go into a private residence. There's a very high constitutional threshold for going into a private residence. You need a judicial warrant. And by the way, they're not hard to get. It's just probable cause signed by a judge. So what does it tell you if even at that low standard needs to be cheapened? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to drop an already low threshold, something that's already being rejected by a federal judge and has never been tested in the courts other than that? This is only for people with removal orders, they'll say. So they got due process. Tell me, where did you learn that if you got one right, you lose another? Well, Obama did the same. No, he didn't. Most of his deportations were at the border. We never saw this level of aggression and raids from ICE. And by the way, the Obama administration did things that were wrong, and not just the kids in cages. The idea that because Obama did some bad shite, it's okay that they're doing worse stuff now. Maybe the best answer to the question of what this is really about is in the term the administration loves to use when it comes to undocumented people. Illegals. Well, that's what they are. Says it in the statute, illegal alien. Then why don't you call them aliens? That would make more sense linguistically. And if you call them illegals because what they did is illegal, why don't you refer to any other criminals as illegals? They're all doing illegal things too. No coincidence that people who are pissed at me for warning that using this taunt and say, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to stop me? And other escalations may lead to violence we will all regret. I'm not threatening the violence. You are taunting in a way that threatens violence from others. And the interesting part of this is when I make this case, those who don't like it answer me by calling me Fredo. The irony apparently lost that their defense of not using a slur is to use a slur. Look, I think the reason you love that word is because you love to dehumanize and make a boogeyman, to blame for not having good paying jobs, health care, housing. It's all on the illegals. The administration says all the drama that we're seeing in Minneapolis is because these local leaders, these blue cities, they like criminals. They're anti-law and order. They would rather set rapists and murderers free to rampage and vote than remove them. If that's true, why is the administration also bragging about a report that just came out that serious crimes and homicides are down in 31 of 35 cities across the country, many of which are in blue states run by Democrats? They seriously think you're going to believe that crime is down in localities because of what the FBI has done in local policing? A trend that's been going on since the pandemic? And the report that they're relying on makes it very clear that this is a function primarily of local policing and programs? If this is about law enforcement and the obstacles that local leaders refuse to work with the feds, why would the president dispatch the Veep to go to Minneapolis and not have him meet with the people who are in control? It would be pointless, they say. I suppose, if your point is for things to get worse. Because if you want anything to get better, why would you not meet with the only people who can help you achieve that? Everything points to the same answer. This is not about advancing the situation. It's just about advantage in the situation, proving that one side is worse than the other. Maybe that's why the Secretary of Homeland Security flaunts this warning on her podium. One of ours, all of yours. We're living in an interesting moment, a fraught moment, where a government that is supposed to represent everyone is openly pushing the idea that we are a nation divided and there will be a price for that. And they're right. We know how that ends. The best Republican president ever, Abraham Lincoln, said in his warning against the specter of civil war, he was actually paraphrasing Mark 3:25. A nation divided cannot stand. This administration better learn the lessons of the past. God forbid we otherwise be doomed to repeat them. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.